Just waiting there for the umpire, just making sure the players are in position as he holds the ball aloft. The Bulldogs up against the Roosters. Lucas Herbert up against Big Arnold in the middle today. Should be a great contest. Players very quick, very eager to get hands on the football early.
Expect a lot of that today, Mark, where they tie each other up in tight.
Young number 3 there, the last player to get up. Young Justin Casserly. Only a handful of games. Arnold gets his knock. Noonan gets his hands to the ball, tackled quickly from behind by Casserly. And plenty of bodywork being thrown in off the ball.
Just on Casserly, was given the job on Harvey last week from Norwood. They played wide of each other and Harvey probably had a greater influence on the game. Casserly now being given the job of really tidying up Tim Noonan, who was a prolific ball winner for North Adelaide.
Yeah, just speaking to the people from Prospect during the week, they were saying that Noonan's effort last week, and also Phillips, was just sensational. They were just the way they went about things. Back to the game. We've got McAdam, goes back to the 200 gamer in Lee. He's quite happy. He knew what was around him. He knew where the ball had to go and made sure it went out over the boundary line. Scotty Lee. One of the hardest back pockets I've come up against.
We might go through your top 10 one day, Mark, when we've got a bit of time. Adam Switala, exciting new prospect, pushes the ball forward. Scotty Sutherland underneath the ball under pressure from Cook. Cook got him high, said the umpire, and the free kick will come back. Scott Sutherland from left half-back. Recruited from the Double Blues, feeds it off to Noonan, who's providing plenty of running option. 37 is Josh Gum, first kicking league footy for this young fella. Only 17 years old, pushes it deep into the forward pocket. Jumping underneath that one, Graham Kellett, and across the line goes the ball. Well, they're exciting, the Roosters, when they start to run and push the ball around, Ken. That's their game.
And that was a terrific setup too. Should have been caught or marked there at half forward and would have been the easiest of goals, as the wind is blowing fairly strongly to the left of screen.
Herbert and Arnold once again. Herbert tried very hard. Lee quickly on the boot. Didn't go too far. The North player believes it's his mark. It's not that far. It's taken high. 55 metres out from goal. That player there is Darryl Wintle. And should receive. The umpire just tried very hard there, Ken, didn't he?
Yeah, got himself in where the footy was and then was rewarded for the high tackle. Should kick this with relative ease.
So Darryl Wintle puts it up in the air. I don't think it's made a distance. It has, but it's gone through for a behind. So the first score for the afternoon, North Adelaide, 1 behind. Central's yet to score.
A disappointing finish there for Wintle. Will play in the midfield. A part of a very strong on-ball contingent led by Tim Noonan, and should be able to finish those goals.
Wakelin, a prodigious kick, a long bomb to the far side. Jason Ray took front position. Hulm feeds it out to Switala, who couldn't quite take the clean ball. Phillips over the top, claimed by Hulm, goes to ground. Coming in over the top of him was Justin Casserly. Little Bulldog sentiment, and they've needed him this year with Rick McGowan unable to play a game. A hip flexor problem for him. We might get a chance later to go through some of the Central District injuries. We're well versed in North Adelaide. As Switala, hurried kick out, just a clearing kick in the finish.
Well, just 3 to name 3 is, as you mentioned, with that fellow, also with the fellow at centre half back. Terrific player.
The North Adelaide bench, Chris McDermott. Herbert thumped it down. Wintle feeds it off. Gerke just had a mini fumble, couldn't quite get there. Great work in the finish was Nerman, but he got clobbered by Switala. Coming out with the ball, Cook flicks it up. Now it's Scotty Lee, drives towards full forward. Hicks was the target, but couldn't quite get to the contest, as dropping back and chopping it off. Doing a pretty good job. Look to me,
Scotty Sutherland and David.
Yeah, thanks for that.
They're hard to pick up in these new red and white jumpers.
Actually, we haven't
commented
the big V on their new jumpers yet. I think it might even have been Ebel who was doing the hard work back there. This is Lehman, an exciting player, drives it towards half forward. No one home. Wakelin at the back door, just flicks it over the top, did it pretty well in the finish. Oh, but it's stolen away. Shot for goal. Going forward, it's Damien Squire, but he's missed. Well, he knows how to kick a goal, Ken. He's been pretty prolific in that area. Well, I think his stint with last year with Port probably just affected his confidence a little.
There's no doubt that that's one of his strengths that North Adelaide have missed two relatively easy shots for goal now. Damien Arnold making a crucial fumble there. Right in the sweet spot. Arnold was able to capitalise. Damien unfortunately missed the goal.
Sorry, kid.
The ball's kicked back in. Good mark taken there by Jason Ray. On the half-back flank today, with the long-sleeve jersey on. Ball's punched back strongly. Good spoil from behind. The play held up well there by Daniel Hulm. Central District's bench there, David Mackay.
Yes, Reddy Mole, the big guy. They're obviously keen to have a ruckman coming off the bench there. Just flicking the ball around, and they're pretty well manned in that area, aren't they? This is Lehman, released by Noonan, a high bomb towards full forward. Oh, look at this. Oh, just dropped an absolute sitter. Out there was Mark Hollett, was it? Or Mark Edwards? Mark Edwards it was. Well, he had that gone for all money. Mark Edwards, former Glenelg player, Mark. You'd remember him.
Yes, good player. He's had the opportunities here now. Having one of his former teammates in Chris McDermott's given him a chance. We see Ray again flicking the ball out. Cotter's there, also with Lee and Herbert for the Roosters. Ball's kicked forward. The mark should have been paid. It's gone far enough. It hasn't. Back to Ray again. Quickly onto his left boot. A great smother there on the outer wing. Looked like Phillips. The ball once again will be thrown back in. Arnold up against Herbert. Arnold takes the front position. Ball comes down to Lee. Quickly onto his boot. The ball goes high. May have gone out of bounds on the full. It has. So Tim Noonan is preparing himself to bring the ball back in. Kicks it high, looking for a mark and forward up there. From behind was Ray to bring the ball to ground. The Roosters at ground level can't quite clear it. In there was Swert. Goes across to Hulm. Hulm quickly onto his boot also. Kicks it up high. McAdam Brentley takes a one-handed grab. Quickly to play on. He does that. He's got Cutter Wayne running out wider. Finds that player also.
Chambers with the ball at left half forward. Centres it up. It's a beautiful kick going forward. Holland it was who thumped it down. Lehman took the crumb and releases the ball forward. Now the Rooster runners are able to go, but it's a big lumbering Lucas Herbert who pushes the ball towards half forward. The kick was ill-directed, however. Schwert tries to cut back and chop it off. Gerke forward. Gum with the kick, and it goes towards Edwards, who's right on the boundary line. And the umpire says he'll pay the mark. As we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary.
A little controversy down in the interchange box. Apparently Gilbert McAdam is supposed to be off the ground, so I don't know the rules. David, tell me what's going to happen.
Well, there's an interesting one.
Interesting one. I mean, you're supposed to put your team sheet in with who's starting on the bench. So officially, Gilbert McAdam should be on the bench, not starting out on the ground, unless they've notified the league official.
Well, I wonder if Central have picked that up. They can complain to the umpires, and if he's not supposed to be on, he's an illegal
account.
Yeah, well, it's all over, isn't it?
Oh, it's only the score. They only lose the score that's there, which at this stage is only which is nothing. They haven't scored a goal or a point.
Squire pushes the ball forward, but Scotty Lee in sheer desperation dives on top of the ball. Daniel with him, partner in crime. But the umpire will have a bounce.
I think it'll probably hit the club in the hip pocket later in the week.
Yeah, be my guess. It'd be a fine for that passo. Arnold it was who wins the ball down. Kellett forced it forward. Robertson is an exciting young player. Will of the Wisp type. He shoots around the corner. Couldn't quite bring it back enough. And Robertson gets a point for the Roosters.
Frustrating for North Adelaide. 4 points in a row, yet to register a major. Kicking with a relatively strong breeze, perhaps 3 goals.
That's Wakeland, brings the ball back in, looking for Ray. He's in the front position, couldn't hold the mark. Again, the Roosters come through. Gerke back to Noonan. Noonan around his body, his right leg, comes up and a good mark taken on the last line defence there by Daniel. So Daniel quickly out, finds Stevens out wide. He needs to take the mark. He does, he's paid it. So Stevens, left legger, good smother. Great smother there by Warner. Inside 50s, he kicked the first goal of the day. I think he has. Young Warner. The first major for the afternoon.
It is inspirational. Bradley Warner wearing number 40 in screen, the smother off the boot. The left footer of Stevens, he read it like a book, understood he was turning inboard and smothered it brilliantly, picked it up as you see here on replay. Look at that, beautiful, eyes only for the smother, picked it up, head over the footy, and through she went, the first major for the Roosters.
11. Well, that is a great smother. 11 games last year, Warner, without a goal. 28 senior games and only one. So it's been 2 years since he's kicked a goal, and that one was a fine one to come back on the goal kicking list. Robertson shoveled it out to Phillips. Play on set the umpire. That was allowed on. Now it's Lehman, released by Phillips. Forward further was Wintle. Now Callett. Crashing through was Ray. Snapping for goal is Polner. This is Malcolm Polner, who kicked a bagful in the reserves last week and won promotion.
North Adelaide Roosters just belting them at ground level there. On-ball division is just cutting up the Central District Bulldogs. Inaccuracy at the goal face is costing them, however.
Good comments by Ken Sheldon. The ball goes high again. The Roosters again at ground level through Noonan. Quickly handballs across. That player there is Wintle. Goes wide and back to Noonan. They're going very wide.
Gerke.
It's like Gerke. Lee's under the hammer. Gets pounded by 2 Rooster players. Phillips is in there also, couldn't take it. Handball quickly across to Lehman. Lehman on his left leg. Puts it high. Robertson's there. But again, taken a little bit high was young Robertson. And the player to take the mark, David, just can't quite pick up at the moment. Looks like Hopwood, doesn't it, I think?
Yeah,
Hopwood.
Young Heath. I like the way he goes about it too. He's had his opportunity with Geister out with injury. Well, there's another one injured. Potter, who we saw in the reserves last week, winning a bit of fitness and form. Arnold had the kick smothered, and now the Roosters can just bang it up again. This time it's Noonan who has just knocked up winning kick so far. Hopwood thumps it down. Robertson grubbered one, but Scotty Lee just intercepted it. Little fumble. Big day for the back pocket player. Playing his 200th.
Yes, Timmy Noonan clearly best on the ground early at this stage, and Lehman playing a terrific game, centre wing, half back.
You have to doubt that matchup, wouldn't you, Ken, with a Castley? I think Noonan's he's just, I mean, he's been playing the game for a number of years. His endurance level is so good, but he's so quick over the first 10, 15 minutes, where Castley, he's got that sort of build where he's sort of best suited for maybe a back pocket.
Phillips gets a point for the Roosters, and I'll let Ken Sheldon finish the comment.
Or possibly so, but he certainly represented himself very well, according to coach Peter Jonas, and that's all what you need to do. He did play a relatively good game last week, although it be wide of Anthony Harvey. This week, to put him in close, in very tight, I think will be a big lesson for him, but he'll certainly have to get on top of Noonan very quickly, otherwise the game could be gone. But 1-6, well, you know, the Roosters really have let the Bulldogs off the hook at this stage.
Stephen Barrett to the left of Chris McDermott. Pretty laconic character, Chris McDermott, in a coach's box, Mark.
Yeah, very laid back. I asked him the question on Thursday night, who does your fitness out? He said, you're looking at him. So, I mean, he doesn't need that support around him. And with fitness coach and weights coach, he does most of the jobs himself.
Lehman a high bomb. Robertson, the little fella underneath this one. Great courage, set himself for it. But there's a push behind play to the umpire. And Scotty Lee got the nudge and the free kick. So play on the call as Scotty Lee takes off, pushes it long and wide in the direction of Swatala. One-handed attempt, almost brought it down. Laddams gathers the ball, claimed by Swatala. I like the way this young fella goes about it, Adam Swatala. He is a very exciting prospect. And still only 20 years of age. 19 games under his belt, so not a great deal of experience, but getting better with every one. Herbert. Strength out of the ruck, back to Warner. In turn, Lehman, claimed by Swatala. The umpire said he had prior opportunity. That's holding the ball. And where's the movement? Lewis drops back, now comes forward. As Swatala had to wait for the big fella to present himself. He does so now. Loose ball, Chambers, McAdam. McAdam in space. This is where he's very dangerous. Chips it up forward for Conway, but a little nudge from Hollett. And the umpire said that's okay.
Yeah, terrific use of the body by Hollett.
The big bear kicks it out back to Swatala. Quickly forward. The chance here for the Bulldogs. Good mark taken by Hicks.
Now I want to see, Mark, how he kicks at goal. Last 3 weeks, I have probably the highest regard for this fellow, but he hasn't been kicking through the ball, hasn't looked completely convincing to me in his fitness.
Will have to aim just right of the right-hand goal post. The wind will bring it back to the left.
So Hicks, 45-degree angle, 40 metres out. Puts it on its way. This perfect placement for the kick. It has come across. That wind is stronger than I think we think out there. As the ball will be thrown in, left-hand pocket. And Dave Mackay here still doesn't like his action. Maybe you should go and give Peter Jones a hand on Tuesdays and Thursday nights.
That's his job, I promise you. I won't be interfering there. Herbert down. Phillips tried to get through traffic. Claimed by Chambers and Casserly. Well, it's tough in the clinches. This is very tight in close.
Oh, there'll be a lot of this. Casserly has the job on Noonan. Noonan is the preferred option always for the Roosters. He gets it cleanly in those situations and shuffles it out so efficiently.
Windle goes to ground with Conway on top. McAdam just steals it away somehow, bends it back towards the point of the square. Now Hollett tries to get through. Noonan working deep in defence, forces the ball back towards half-back. There's a high one on Squire against Scotty Lee. The umpire was right on the job. Squire takes the free kick, half-back, plays it on quickly. I like the way they move the ball so very, very fast. Kellett in stride. The kick was centimetre perfect. Comes back inboard on the left boot, just chips it in nicely. Look at the kick. It's a beauty, and Jeffries marks 35 metres out directly in front.
It was a really good play by the Roosters, set up in the last line of defence again by Noonan, but they had options, the Roosters. Phillips was running unattended down through the centre corridor. What terrific foot skills, though.
Mark Jeffries, who has 15 goals, 5 for the year, straightens it up, puts it right through, gets his first for the afternoon, gets North Adelaide second there, 2-6, leading Central, who are yet to score.
Yes, 8 shots to none, 15 minutes into the first quarter, kicking with a strong breeze, perhaps 3 goals to the left of screen. But that was just a terrific pass.
It's great work, which just held the ball, just waited for the options to come forward. It did through Jeffries, and a great, good mark by Jeffries, a good goal, Ken.
Very important one too when you consider that they have kicked at that stage 1 goal 6, now 2 goals 6.
Well, a couple of changes had been made. We might get Michael Parsons just to fill us up. I saw a North player come on and off there at one stage. I think Gum's on the field. So Herbert takes the ball, kicks it up forward once again. Ray will be first there. What we decide to do, he goes to the soccer off the ground and finds the safety of the boundary line. The change been made there once again. Arnold coming off.
Now, he had his jaw broken earlier in the year, Arnold, Mark, didn't he? And just hasn't seemed to have been at his best since. Takes a while to recover from those sorts of things.
Sure does. And Stevens comes out, does a pirouette twice, finally gives it to Casserly. Casserly, he goes back to Chambers. The Roosters defence trying to stand strong. They do that. Some good work coming through the back line. That's Noonan who ends up with it across to Lehman. Lehman's got Phillips in the middle of the ground. He looks up forward. He's had one bounce, run his good distance there, kicks it very, very long. Jeffries couldn't take the mark. Quick handball over the top. He's put his players on the hell, a lot of pressure. Robertson comes up with it. Stevens now should take this. Just needs to pick it up. He does. He comes inside. Great tackle by Warner. Not paid the free. The ball will be thrown back in. Proud not happy here at Prospect Oval.
To me, that's clearly holding the ball, but perhaps the boundary line beat Warner in his pursuit. It was certainly a great tackle.
Well, the field umpire had great vision of when the boundary umpire threw his hand in the air. So clearly he thought it was out before the tackle was complete. Swatala just outside the line.
Great pressure being applied by the North Adelaide forwards, just holding the ball in this area.
Herbert thumps it down. Swatala, who's in everything. Cook feeds it off, releases Chambers running through the midfield to Lures, Lures and Sanford, Ken. Have a look at that battle this afternoon. You might just give us a judgment late in the quarter. The kick, however, was a real scrubber, and underneath that one, Josh Gum showing great courage, this young fellow. Only 17, forces it up to Herbert. Good target, the big man. Now Kellett comes inboard. Back it goes Warner. Sutherland. The feed is further afield. Look at this. Noonan, they're just running free, the Roosters. They're exploding from their defensive line. And Gerke now runs through half forward and bombs it right into the goal square. How's it going to land? Just wide. It's a point, but what about the build-up?
There was tremendous build-up from half-back and great understanding of the situation by Richard Gerke. All the forwards had let out. He knew he had a strong wind at his back, and he had a ping from 80 metres. Could have quite easily gone through for a goal.
19.5-minute mark of this first quarter. The Bulldogs get to score. North Adelaide at 19 points. Balls once again. Very disciplined spoil back by the Roosters. Half-forward line. game we see they boot 7 points. They've had 9 scoring shots to zilch. Should be further in front. Ray over the top of it. Need support. Need players in close. Can't knock the ball out. It'll be held and the umpire will come in and ball it up. Bottom of that pack, young Damien Squire, released from the Power end of '97 season. Still a very talented footballer. Moller handballs over the top to Svatala, across to Ray. Ray goes further afield to Cotter. Handball again. I think he's taking his own handball. He has. He gets the ball moving up forward from behind as Lewis. Slight little shove. The umpire's seen it. He's not too happy, Simon Lewis.
Real competitor, isn't he?
The umpire clearly in a great position to pay that free kick. Only 10 metres away inboard.
To Sanford towards half forward. Loose ball comes down.
Squire again.
Squire and Moller was the player who claimed him. So the big fellow's second effort was good when the ball was coming down. Was quick to wrap up Squire, who is so very dangerous in that 50-60 metre area from goal. Moller thumps it forward. Kellett couldn't get through, but Phillips gets a hurried kick, a high ball. Good courage shown. Squire launched at that one. Look at the players around the ball. Jason Ray over the top of it. Scotty Lee just comes in late. Well, what is the win, Ken? What's your...
I think it's definitely a 3-goal advantage to the left, but the kick of Hicks there before, we really did see it take a sharp left-hand turn. Like, the wing is very, very strong, but I think 3-4 goals.
But the Bulldogs really need a goal before quarter time to really be around the mark. You'd suggest if it is a 3-goal breeze. It's 2-7 to no score at this stage.
2 other games being played around the state this afternoon. We see the Eagles and Glenelg at Woodville Oval. Glenelg up by 1 point, and South and Norwood down at the dusty, windy Noongar Oval. We see Norwood by 1 point. The Roosters come through again. They go forward. Great courage shown. A great mark taken there by Wakeland. So Wakeland quickly get the ball moving. He does that over to Hopwood. Hopwood goes wider. It's on the outer flank. We spend most of this game has been. So it's come down to Lee. Back to Cotter. Cotter chips over the top. Player he's trying to find was Cook for his first kick for the afternoon. And he's gained about 40 metres.
Tim Cook in screen there. A very good player.
It's his second kick. 2 kicks, 2 handball. And his first run for the afternoon as Herbert knocks the ball down to Gerke. Plenty of pressure by both sides now. They're realising the North need to kick more goals with this breeze. And the Centrals need to get a score on the board. It goes back to Ray. A couple of goes at it, tackled well. Scotty's lead there, just chips it forward. Swert just pals it out over the line once again.
He's using his experience there, Swert, 199 games, but they're unable to control the football, the Bulldogs. So Swert used the safety of the boundary. They start again from scratch.
Got a bit of experience, haven't they, the Bulldogs in this side? Moller and Herbert. Herbert it was who wins it down. Hulm thumps it further afield. McAdam taps it on. Cook again. Releases the ball even further, and Casserly is wrapped up by Noonan, and isn't that a battle? Noonan's dominating.
And isn't that a sensational tackle by Noonan? Like, he is being tagged by Casserly, and yet on the way back is able to lay a tackle and prevent his opponent from getting clear possession.
No prior opportunity then, so therefore no free kick. Herbert dominating the airways, the big fellow, and doing it pretty well. Down, but Swatala, it was roving to the opposite ruckman. Pushes it forward and finds Casserly, who needs to find just a little bit more for the Bulldogs. Towards full forward he goes. Hicks up, couldn't complete the grab. Cook over the top, was looking in the direction of Chambers. He comes through, is claimed by Warner and goes to ground with the ball. There'll be a bounce.
I like the game of Brad Warner. He's the 1%ers, the tackles and the smothers, which have been so beneficial for him. He's just so prepared to lay them and do the team things.
So many players around the football, as you can see on screen. Herbert winning most of the knocks in this first quarter. Noonan's in there again with Hulm. Hulm tries to break clear, uses his brute strength, can't get through. The umpire will come in and take control. Daniel Hulm, as we mentioned before the game, a tough little footballer. It's thrown in the air. Herbert again gets the ball down, but he's only found Gilbert McAdam for the Bulldogs. What can he do? He tries to set it up. Good work by Conway to get the ball back to Hicks. He couldn't take it. Stevens has a chance here. What's the umpire indicating?
A mark.
It's off his boot. We've got to see that again for sure.
I think Stevens, the chance.
Stevens knew it was a mark. Yeah, clearly there. Now Stevens should be able to kick this goal. His left foot will naturally fight against the wind.
Stevens puts it on its way. I think he's got it home. He's not too happy with the result. The umpire's gone in the centre of the square. Brings up the one finger to indicate one behind. So the first score for the afternoon for the Bulldogs. North Adelaide now lead by 18 points.
That's a really bad miss.
Yes, well, considering that at the other end his kick was smothered and Warner ran through and kicked that team-lifting goal. It was one... Oh, he had to kick, and Herbert launches himself, the big fellow. And in only 34 senior games, he's starting to make an impact, this youngster, at only 20. Still got plenty of improvement left in him. Noonan, forward. Hulm applies the tackle on Polner, but it was too high, said the umpire. A free kick the result. So now a long bomb. Robertson, no fear, launches himself. Sutherland takes the loose ball. Daniels wraps him up. This is good defensive work by the Bulldogs. It's not a bad leap, that one, Ken. Just had to take the mark, though, didn't he?
Got to hang on to it in those situations. Easy from here, though.
And it gets easier every year, I promise you.
Oh, great work by Gerke. Puts his body over and then grabs the ball back underneath him with Scotty Lee there as well. Gets a pat on the back from his teammates as we have quarter-time scores here. And Ken, the Roosters, completely in charge, lead by 18 points.
Oh, they've just dominated at ground level, particularly led by Tim Noonan, who would have had in probably 12, 13, 14 possessions in that quarter. Their ruckman in Herbert has been dominating. Lehman off centre wing, half back, and Phillips have been terrific. And I think Bradley Warner, as we talked about, for his smothers and tackles, deserves a mention. And Josh Gum, number 37 in his first game, has acquitted himself very, very well in the opening quarter. McAdam, Lee, Swatala, probably the Bulldogs' best.
So quarter-time scores here at Prospect Oval. We've seen North Adelaide 2 goals, 7-19. They lead Centrals just the 1 point. And you're watching it at home in your nice, warm comfort of your lounge room chair, live and exclusive on ABC Sport. Herbert first touched the ball down to Phillips, quickly onto his boot. Couldn't take it. In there again. Just trying to pick up the players. Plenty in there. Phillips, the 35-year-old. Just make sure his players are looked after. He needs to lead by example, and he does that so well. The umpire put it down again. You can see Phillips just trying to hold for up position over Hulm. Tapped the Bulldogs' way, coming out hard, looked like lures.
Be interesting to see the tactics used on Troy Lehman. Lehman clearly in the best two players on the ground for North Adelaide. Noonan it is that's getting the in tight ball, releasing it to the running Lehman. He's the player that has to be tidied up, in my opinion, for the Bulldogs to be able to take full advantage of this win.
Well, Noonan that first quarter had 12 possessions, and considering that he's been tagged by Casserly, who's only had 3 possessions, I think Noonan is on top, fellas.
Was he being tagged, or are they just
I think he's being tagged.
Run with?
I think there's no doubt that he is being tagged, but ineffectively at this stage.
The chance here for the Roosters. Lehman takes another mark.
He's the player that's creating the link, Lehman. He's just having a big influence on the game. Players like Phillips and Robertson, they're receiving the handballs from Noonan.
So Lehman, he had 9 possessions in that first quarter. Comes up for his 10th for the afternoon. He's 40 metres out, 45-degree angles. I think they're happy. The cheer squad is behind the goals. The umpire comes in. 2 fingers are erected. Yes, they are. That's his first one for the afternoon, and a great start by the Roosters.
The player that the great Collingwood coach Lee Matthews described as a player of the 90s, Troy Lehman, unfortunately cut down by injury. Gee, he can have a big influence on North Adelaide's season.
We just wonder whether at 12 26 he's ever going to get another chance. You think perhaps it's gone past him now, don't you?
Well, I don't. He's surely good enough, but it's just depend on the state of his injuries, which I'm not close enough to the scene to know.
So 3-7 plays 1 point. North Adelaide step away and did what Central couldn't do, kick a goal to the right of screen into the breeze at Prospect Oval. Arnold wins this tap. It falls, however, to Phillips, who bombs one into space. Jason Ray sets after it, but Damien Squire feeds it further afield. This is Khaled on the left, chips it in short. He uses the ball beautifully. This fellow, this time, it's no exception, and underneath this one, Mark Edwards, the former Glenelg player in his 8th senior game, gets a chance at shooting for goal.
It's the second delightful left foot leg we've seen from Kellett. Right on the cherry to the leading forward. A difficult goal is to kick straight into the wind, but should have been able to learn from Lehman's previous kick.
Well, he'll be kicking into the teeth of the breeze, so it won't bend. He'll need to just keep it low and bang it hard. This one sits up. It's almost a mark at the front of the back. Play on, said the umpire, Scotty. Lee goes to the boundary line, and Cotter quite content.
Well, Mark Edwards last year, fellas, he played 14 games in the reserves. Didn't play too many in the seniors.
No, I think, in actual fact, I don't know that he played a senior game for the club last year, did he?
No, I don't think he did at all, but he really has. He started so well this year, and he's, with Parker going down with his knee injury, has been given that opportunity.
Bowen Lockwood in the crowd, who was also at Adelaide Oval last night. Lockwood, so obviously enjoying him being around the place. As Mark Naley's stockbroker rings him on the telephone. And another million being made. Lehman, Lucas Herbert, and now Robertson. Just couldn't quite stretch and make it. Sanford at the back door. Held it too long. That's holding the ball. No doubt about that. Lur's got him.
Always got to give it off first thought.
And a long bomb now. Hicks underneath it. Conway couldn't quite control it. Hicks tried to toe poke it forward, but doing well was Ebel. Crashes through, gets the ball, pushing forward in the direction now of Lehman, who shoots it back. Noonan working deep in defence. He does that so well. Out in the direction of Squire, but misses the target, and it's out of bounds on the full.
Fortunate break there for the Bulldogs, and they should be able to score from here.
Now there's your stockbroker on the phone, Mark. He's just trying to update your commentary, I reckon.
I was waiting for that. Hulm brings the ball back in from behind as Herbert couldn't take it. He was about 6 deep into that pack. And again, we see the pack forms. And Bretton Phillips, a 35-year-old, I just saw him that first quarter there a couple of times. Kenny in the contest, quick to his feet, up again, just at it. It's just his second and third efforts really are very, very good, considering how old the player is. There was talk of retirement, David, a couple of years ago.
Glad he didn't. Herbert got the ruck infringement. Evil, who is improving with every game for the Roosters. He's very tough and hard at it. Schwerk took front position, couldn't complete the mark. Sutherland, the former Sturt player. I think he was part of the Jay Viney deal, or did he come earlier? Kellett, released by Robertson.
Great
a
kick.
high ball, what a beautiful kick. That's a ripper, and out in front of that, Edwards gets the silver service treatment.
Good lead coming up too, David.
Well, they use the ball beautifully, don't they, North Adelaide? And those two examples, not bad. Daniels forward. Now finally it finishes with Wakeland. Herbert, big fly from behind. Lures did the roving, releases McAdams short. Look at the kick underneath this one. Hicks couldn't get there. Spoiling from behind was Ebel, doing a pretty good job so far. Cook, Ebel gets him, gets to the contest and forces the issue. Lures comes in late. Hicks and Phillips flicks it out to Noonan. Well, don't these experienced players work it hard? Sanford off the ground towards the boundary line, probably the sensible thing to do, and the North Adelaide defence resets.
It really is the Noonan-Lehman show. They're just dominating this game. What a tremendous crumb, though, before by Scotty Sutherland right here in front of the members. He ran from 30 metres away to get the front and square of the pack and was able to crumb it brilliantly to take North Adelaide into attack. And there he is again.
Great work. Chance here. Good movement across the front of the pack. Couldn't take it. His quick little legs coming flying through as Robinson thumps the ball forward. Couldn't be taken by Jeffries. In there is also Edwards. Robinson again with a second effort. Back to Daniel. Nearly taken as he kicked it. Sutherland's there in front, decides to go from spoil himself from the front position. Phillips comes in, eyes over the football. Bruce Street breaks the pack, gives it to Gerke. Gerke's got the running player inside. He looks for Lehman. He's found him. What will Lehman do? Throws the football around. Chance here again for, looks like Robinson out by himself. Keeps control of the football. He does that. He's got a player inside. He uses him in Edwards. Edwards kicks him the man on the mark. And finally ends up with Wakeland, David.
It wasn't a man on the mark. Wakeland just came in and smothered the kick beautifully. Anticipation was terrific. Scotty Lee now finds Lewis, who's coming back into the game. He was well held in the first quarter. Schwert, forward, Chambers, 2 bites of that cherry. That was a dangerous 2-grabber. And from centre half forward, off go the Bulldog forwards. Now they've gone and the ball's held, so they need to go back and reset it up. This is where I reckon they're killing their forwards, Central. Their midfielders are holding it. Mark Nayley shakes his head. Ken Sheldon agrees. So we're all in agreement on that. Well, as we go to scores from other grounds. This is the quarter-time scores. Glenelg 2 goals 3, the Eagles 2 goals 2. So 1 point in the game. And South Adelaide by 6 points. South are 1-1 and Norwood 1 point at Noarlunga.
Just back to that situation where you're 70, 80 metres out. You've got a strong wind behind you. You can't kick the goal yourself, but you don't have to put it to the front of the goal square or the sweet spot. You can hit a player that's 60 metres out, and he can still kick the goal.
McAdam, half forward flank.
Here we are again, the situation. McAdam is 80 metres from goal. He only has to chip it rather than bomb it to the sweet spot. That's really hit and hope that, and North Adelaide have the tools back in that area.
Herbert working very hard to get back there. Ends up with Wintle. They run the game from the back line. Lehman got the support inside. They play there, and Warner kicks it high. Chance here for the runners. Mark nearly taken. Good work by Daniel from behind just to hold the player up. He's done that a couple of times now beautifully. Umpire's letting the game flow, which is great. Daniel ends up with it, tucks it under into his belly. That was Squire with him.
Full credit to Daniel there. Terrific play. And well done by Squire too. He kept fighting. It was just a great contest.
9.5 minutes into the second term. 23 points the margin in favour of the Roosters, who have kicked just the 1 goal to the right of screen to the southern end of Prospect Oval into the breeze. Sutherland forces it forward. Lehman finding plenty of the ball. Possession number 12 for him. Up towards full forward, but Wakeland, who really is coming back into form after his knee reconstruction last year. We saw him in the second half last week start to get back to something like the form, Ken, didn't we, that he was previously. And today he seems to be going on with the good work. Underneath this one, Sutherland, who's pretty good for a small fellow overhead. Marks, just holds the ball. Polner couldn't complete it. McAdam. This is Casserly. Now forward, Hicks. Oh, that's a good, strong lead. That's a confidence booster. That's what we haven't seen him do for a few weeks. Ebel's not happy with the umpire giving the mark there. What's your decision?
Well, it'll be just a grab, in my opinion. Perhaps it was paid for a high tackle in the defender's pursuit to try and spoil the ball.
No, the umpire indicated a mark, Ken. He was quite happy it was a mark.
Again, from this situation, he can either have a shot himself or just pop in the 15-metre pass.
I think last year Hicks was the club leading goal scorer with 32 goals. Really hasn't got amongst them this year, and I don't think he's fully fit. Oh, Swatala got one high. There'll be a 25-metre penalty. Hopefully not a report. The umpire comes in and has a chat with Ebel, and Hicks just lets him know that they're not happy with that sort of attention. But Ebel was committed to the spoil. When you've got your arm out, you're still going. Perhaps he's guilty of not bringing it in when the mark was complete. Umpire Humphreys indicates, fellas, just out of here. Now, what do you think? Could he stop? All right, Mark Nayley says yes. Ken Sheldon undecided, sitting on the fence. But the umpire has taken his number, so the umpire is pretty certain, after viewing the replay.
So am I.
Well,
it's hard to say, David.
You've never been 6'3", Mark. Let me tell you, you can't stop a bloke who's 6'3" getting to the contest.
Again, it's Swatala, though. He has been one of the bright lights for the Bulldogs early in this game, presenting himself at every occasion, and that is just full rewards for him.
Well, he showed great courage, didn't he? Didn't deviate. Evil was closing on him, and Swatala, as a youngster with enormous promise and great courage, just held the line, took the mark, and copped it sweet.
You can see here again on replay. Just presented himself well at the 50-metre line, copped one high. That won't hurt him one bit.
Well, I just thought Evil took the arm back. As connection, he did take the arm back, didn't he?
You can't do it.
Well, he did. No, you're way too hard. You are going soft in your old age.
I'm not
you want trial
soft.
by video, you want
trying
players rubbed out. You're turning into the AFL mouthpiece.
We're trying to avoid players being knocked out. We're trying to avoid players getting broken jaws. And incidents like that need to be dealt with, and I'm sure it will be. Lucas Herbert.
He'll get off. No worries.
Again, Fleeman onto the ball, through the water, trying to find Kellett in the middle of the ground. Just needs to pick it up. He chips the ball forward. Stevens is there for the Bulldogs. Stevens handballs to Daniel. He's under pressure. Daniel handballs to, I don't know where. Trying looking for a player there. Maybe Casserly. Who knows? Pick one out. Cook's there as well. Under extreme pressure. And finally, number 38 comes up with it.
And I reckon the umpire's done the right thing for you, Mark. Anyway, he's at least taken his number. So they'll have a look at that and they'll make an assessment of it Monday night at the tribunal. The umpire's done his job. Now the tribunal need to have a good look and see whether or not he could have stopped or not. As Jason Ray, an explosive talent, what great pace he's got. Look at the penetrating kick, that's 60 metres. Oh, he's got it. Well, he is a precocious talent. When he's on, he's unbelievable. And he can only get better, this young fellow. A great athlete with a penetrating left leg.
Well, that would really please Coach Peter Jonas. Adam Swatala took all on before him and brought up the side's first goal. And there we see Jason Ray. Like, really did run hard from defence. It was a good breakaway from the ball-up situation. The Bulldogs were able to release it out of the congestion, and Ray just took them all on. Took the bounce, took them all on physically, and then just let go with a great long kick.
Back in the middle of the ground, we see 25 plays 14, 11-point margin to the Roosters. Kellett tries to break through. Noonan's in there also. Quick hands by Squire. The Bulls again goes forward. Ray should come out. He does. Takes on Sutherland. Sutherland first up there, quickly onto his boots. Giving his fourth a chance here. He goes over the top. Edwards should take it. Which way will he go? He needs support. Too many Bulldog players there. Comes down to Lehman. Finally with Edwards. No player can take it. Kellett's here. What can he do? He needs support as well. Goes back over the top. This player here, and Robinson is around his body as he kicked it. I don't think he has. And it's another behind the Roosters.
Now this is here. Ray come through the midfield, took them all on. Had to go. Launched that kick from 70, 80 metres.
90 metres.
90
60 metres out, kid. Yeah, your old timers, you're all the same. It was a great kick from 60. Actually, by tonight, midnight tonight, it'll be from centre half back.
Certainly be one that the youngster will remember.
Sutherland, a high bomb. It's 2-on-1. Well, a late fly might result in a free kick. It has. The umpire said, yeah, I think it might have been Phillips who came in late. Or was it Polner who just sat on top of the pack? Wakeland wins the free kick deep in defence for Central District. This fellow's growing in stature, great athlete, terrific physique for football. And they'll need him firing around finals time, the Bulldogs, if in fact they're going to get there. Hulm, last year's best and fairest, out to Stevens, who needs the space. He looks good with a little bit of space. Perhaps he's slowing because he's been run down by Squire. Cook fumbles, now recovers, gets through. Oh, that was a bit easy. Feeds it wide. Simon Lewis, 55 out, will steady it up. No, he doesn't. Forces into Chambers. Who centres it up. Ken Sheldon not happy. Mark Daly has just done nothing today but shake his head. And that kicks out of bounds on the full.
What was he trying to create there, Ken?
Movement,
what was he trying to create?
Well, moments ago, everyone in the ground witnessed Stephen Ray kick a goal from arguably 60, 70 metres. He was closer. He's a prodigious kick. Why not go back, set his targets and put it through?
He's had a couple of weeks in the reserves. Confidence maybe not what it should be. And there's a multitude of reasons, aren't there, as Radley Moeller thumps the ball down and across the line.
It's such a crucial point in the game, too. Midway through the second quarter, really do need a goal, the Bulldogs.
North by 12 points. That was a shot of Damien Arnold, who is recovering fitness after an early season broken jaw.
Roosters again. Just barrel their way. They're so good in tight. They work so tight this side, in close. So I love to see him. Ends up with Gerke. He's got support there as well. There's a hit from behind. The umpire has seen it. He calls the evasion play on. Sutherland is still down. Now tell me, fellas. Come on. Oh, okay, Dave Mackay. Still there. Some great tackle by Squire. And what's happened here? There's a bit of remonstrating down, done behind play. Maybe just a little bit of evener upper. Sutherland wasn't happy, and he's in there again.
Well, we've got a shot of the actual incident. Gerke comes through. Sutherland applies to Shepherd, collides with Sutherland. He went to ground holding his head and then came back and just tried to even up with Stevens. So the players sorted out amongst themselves out in the middle. Cotter over the top of Switala. Now he can kick it from here, this kid. He's 48 and closing, stares it down the barrel, but misses under pressure.
Should never have had the bounce. A lesson there for any young player.
Well, you got to go around, don't you?
Well, I'm an advocate for running your full 10 metres before you bounce. Perhaps the only player that's an exception to that is the brilliant Craig Bradley, the captain of Carlton.
There was an experienced coaching there by Chris McDermott, pulling Sutherland off. He's a much required player. He's taken him off just to cool him down for 5 minutes.
He took Edwards off, if you don't mind.
Edwards, was it?
Yeah, good try.
Looked like 25 from there.
I tell you, your football brain's evaporating.
25, 15, all looks the same.
Oh, dear me.
It's that red and white big V jumper. I just can't quite pick the players up. They look so different than last year.
McAdam should be able to just kick this goal, put it to the front of the goal face, and the wind will carry it through right to left of screen.
Actually, I reckon that one's as good as my Craig Burrows nails earlier.
It was.
Yeah.
Did play well in the reserves.
He played very well in the reserves.
Gilbert McAdam inside 50. The wind will take it to the top of the square. Who's in the back there? 35 for the Roosters. It was Mark Hollett. McDermott on the boundary, just giving orders to his runner, former Glenelg teammate, and Gavin Walsh.
Ken Sheldon used to do that, jump out of the coach's box and remonstrate. There's a bit of a technique in that, Ken, isn't there? What's the theory behind that?
Has its advantages at times to eyeball your players, to get the point across.
A little bit of frustration too, we suspect. Does that come into it at all?
Oh, no, I don't think the frustration aspect does come into it.
Look,
it can't come into it.
Recruited from Glenelg. Gee, you wonder why Glenelg and the Stringer boys let him go. I think Glenelg would like to have him about now. Robertson. We talk about Switala. This fellow's got a fair amount of ability as well. Forces it forward, and it's Damien Squire on the outer wing. And North Adelaide quite content to play a possession game. Scotty Lee thumps it down. Casserly through traffic. Off to Wakeland, getting better by the minute in this match. Warner thumps it down. Connor over the top. McCannon in late. Well, there's nothing that can be done to get that ball out. And there's a couple of keen Bulldog fans. We might check the weather in just a moment with Michael Parsons.
It's a 20.5-minute mark of the second quarter.
There's a gap there between those two ladies for you to sit in, Mark.
10-point margin. I'd rather be sitting down there with them than with you two blokes, I can tell you. As the ball comes out, at the Kellett. On its way, he's got the lead up forward by Phillips. Phillips couldn't take it overhead. Good work by Schwert. You just see the ball, runs it out. Phillips just got his arms in the air. Looked at the umpire and say, well, come on, make a decision. Well, didn't go near Schwert, and Schwert just walked the ball out over the line. He's been paid the free kick to Bretton Phillips. 3 kicks, 5 handballs, 8 possessions up to half-time. This will be his 9th. Oh, the check side left leg, or will it be a banana ball? Which way is he going to go? I think he's going for the banana ball. Can find which way the wind's going. He's come back too far. I think it's out of bounds on the full. It is. So maybe a little bit too much experience there by Bretton Phillips. Now we just see here, Schwert just didn't know. He thought Phillips might have been a little bit closer than what he should have been. Phillips turns around, looks the umpire in the eye and says, come on, umpy, give me a free kick. And he did get one. Unfortunately, couldn't kick the goal. In there again is Hulm. Casserly with him. Noonan quickly just to hold the ball up. And a couple of men there in their blue jackets, red and white ties. Enjoying their local football. You're watching it live and exclusive to ABC Sport.
Scotty Lee, a high one. Underneath this one, Lucas Herbert playing pretty well, the big man. And a 25-metre penalty. McAdam went over the mark, and the umpire, Derek Woodcock, was right on the job. So Herbert, who really has trimmed down after his early days at Glenelg. Polner over the top, couldn't get clear. Gerke, well, he hasn't been quite as noticeable this term. Cotter feeds it back. Stevens just has a fumble. And Robertson comes in and claims him low. What's your decision? Free kicks of the umpire for too high.
The head was down here, David. Just watch, head's down, looked up, and ducked his head. He looked up, saw the play, and ducked his head again. That is holding the ball or baller. Definitely not too high.
Kellett, Sanford. Good contest. Gerke just came in late and forced the ball down. Cook gets away with it, tries to release Cotter. It goes further afield to Scotty Lee, the 200 game man. A long bomb deep into the forward line, and a pack flies, but doing pretty well was Warner. As we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary. Big fella, give us a weather update down there.
That's exactly what I've got for you, David. The wind is still blowing out of the south. It might have dropped off a little bit. Blue skies at the moment, but I think we're going to get wet in about 5 minutes.
Now, Michael, the weather, the wind, I should say.
Yeah, coming out of the south. A very chilly one too, David, while you sit warmly in the back of the grandstand. Probably blowing about 15 knots. Kenny Sheldon said 3 goals, but I'm not sure what that means.
Mark, if you could just pass a cream cake and another coffee, if you wouldn't mind. As Chambers goes around the corner. Oh, say well. Casserly it was.
Casserly.
Thinking the old real estate firm. So Casserly, right in the goal square. Well, the little fella got up.
A great mark by Casserly. Just good persistence by the Bulldogs late in the second quarter.
And there's a moment in every player's career when he gets to kick his first league goal, and this is Justin Casserly's. Point blank range, almost the unmissable goal, and he's kicked it, I suspect. The Bulldog fans like it. He has. Justin Casserly gets his first. And Central gets their third there, back within 4 points.
So they've really got on top late in the second quarter to 9, the Bulldogs. And we'll just need now to finish with at least another one before half-time. Kicking with the assistance of the strong breeze. That's a good goal by Casserly. The big job he has today on curbing the brilliant Tim Noonan. Was unable to do so in the first quarter, probably a little more effective in the second quarter. Certainly that goal helps his performance.
Ball to be bounced again. Put down hard. Herbert up against Moller. The Roosters really have dominated. We see Phillips there over the top of the football. Casserly, that last goal kicker, right there with him. So Hulm now picking up Phillips. Casserly on Noonan. And Stevens on Gerke. Again, Phillips forward. The punch out wide. Foot race on in between Sutherland and also Stevens. No love lost between those two players. He's pushed that over the line. The umpire's seen it. And it's paid the free kick upfield. It should be. Sutherland has got a fair bit of attention from a couple of Bulldog players this afternoon. It was out of bounds on the full. The umpire has paid the free kick against Stevens on Sutherland. And the player ends up with his pole. So Polner towards centre half forward. Player in there, little player was Robertson. Couldn't quite take it. Cotter here to take on Lehman. Sockers the ball 35, 45 metres towards the Bulldogs' goal face. Ends about out on the wing.
And great play by McAdam there, sensing that he was outnumbered and really a sitting duck to be tackled and pulled into the ground. He just punched that ball some 30 metres to his teammates' advantage.
Herbert still dominating the ruck. Jules Lehman just toe poke one forward. Now at the back door and getting it forward was Josh Gum, the young 17-year-old. Stephen Barrett on the bench, along with Chris McDermott and Brendan Parker. who we'll talk to at half-time, by the way, with big Michael Parsons, so stay with us at half-time as we talk to the North Adelaide big man. Warner goes to ground, and Casserly claims him. Now, Casserly's still running with Noonan, Ken.
I think, look, he's very young and an inexperienced player, and we'll certainly have learned a little bit about Tim Noonan's ball-getting ability to this stage of the game. 11 possessions in the first quarter Noonan had, but that's over now, and I think you'll find Casserly will have a bigger influence on the game as it progresses.
Lehman was dragged off the ball. Daniel recovers the loose ball, but Cotter got him and then forces a bounce, and enormous pressure in this match.
That's a great tackle, isn't it, by Scotty Lee?
27.5-minute mark, still a 4-point margin favouring the Roosters. The ball comes back to Ray. Just shows the player the ball and walks around him so easily. Finds McAdam in the middle of the ground. He goes across to Casserly as both David and Ken shared. Starting to find the football. Comes over the top. In there is Evil. This year wearing the number 17 jumper. Still in the foreline. Which way is this ball going to bounce? The umpire indicates it's gone through for another behind. And
great use of the football by McAdam to Casserly. I think that's important when you've got a player that's tagging an opposition player. You have to instruct your own players to use that tagger as much as you can. It really does turn the tide on the player being tagged. In that case, Noonan was caught out.
Fair enough. Wintle will take the free kick. I read in the paper with interest the advertiser this morning has him at good odds of 40-1, a good bet for the McGarry medal. So his form, early season form's obviously been pretty good, according to Doug Robertson. This is the first time we've seen North Adelaide. Ken?
He'll have to do a bit in the second half to take it off Lehman and Noonan and Herbert.
No, obviously he's played pretty well. Dougie Robertson knows his footy. And Hulm, the current best and fairest, drills it into Cook, who really made a meal of that, didn't he?
Cook could nearly kick this goal. Might seem too far out, but there is a strong breeze blowing to left of screen.
One of the things we think about this fellow is he's become a goal kicker. Started his career struggling for goals, but really knows how to kick them later in his career. And that one showed a great deal of confidence. I like the way he goes about it. The siren sounds. It's half-time at Prospect Oval. And the half-time scoreboard shows that North Adelaide trails Central by 3 points after leading, Ken, for most of the first half.
Well, they opened well to the North Adelaide side, and they just wasted their opportunities in front of goal, kicking 2-7 in the first quarter. Central District wasted their opportunities in the first half of that quarter also by just blazing away. But then they got their common sense, their football maturity come to the forefront, and they were able to use the ball very, very well in the end of that quarter.
Half-time scores here at Prospect Oval. We see North Adelaide 3 goals, 8-26. Trail Central that goal in the last moments there of that second quarter. They're 4 goals, 5-29, and you're watching it live and exclusive to ABC Sport.
It's North Adelaide and Central District. Your commentators, Ken Sheldon and Mark Nayley.
Start of the second half here, Prospect Oval. Lucas Herbert dominated that first quarter, as did the middle of the ground, with Noonan, Gerke and also Phillips. Just the centre breaks up to half-time there. North Adelaide dominated 8 clearances, and those 8 ball-ups as the Central District didn't even take one out of there. So really they are on top of the Roosters, but they still trail by 3 points with that goal kick right on, especially on the siren there, to put them in front. Chance here for the Roosters. Ball might be kept in. A good jump, nearly a grab there by Kellett. Young Graham Kellett, 22 years of age, in his 20th game for the club, wearing the big V. Casserly.
Actually, I played with his dad at the Eagles, Chris Kellett. Mark, who was a pretty tough Dow defender in his day as well.
Who's Nigel Kellett?
Plays with the Brisbane Bears. Plays with the Bulldogs.
No relation.
I think somewhere in the family tree they'd have to be, wouldn't they? Just after Adam.
It's there somewhere. Ball's kicked up. Big Lewis tries to use his body up against Sanford. Got the support through Stevens. He's on his left leg. What can he do with it? Didn't quite time it properly. And the ball's gone through for a behind. Great opportunity there for the Bulldogs, Ken.
Yeah, should have kicked that, Scotty Stevens. It's his second miss into the wind. This fellow that'll kick the ball out, number 40, Bradley Warner, has impressed me greatly today with his football intelligence, just the way he's been prepared to smother, to tackle, to spoil from behind, and kick correctly there to the dominating Herbert.
Stevens on the natural left boot, pushes it back into space. The ball drops nicely. Conway. Oh, that's what he needed, the big fellow. A couple of weeks in the reserves and nothing against his name early in the first half.
The windsock almost hanging limp as this fellow prepares to kick toward goal. So a bit of assistance for the Bulldogs.
So Mark Conway, an important kick for him. A bit like Scott Cummings at the Power. He needs a bag just to get the confidence back online. And everything's just not working at the moment. But when he's firing, when he's got the hands going, the big fellow is awesome.
It's a better start from the Bulldogs. In the first quarter, the Roosters had all the play. They dominated in the midfield. But already we've seen the Bulldogs have 2 scoring opportunities in the opening part of this third quarter.
The Roosters bring it back in. Herbert's there, sets himself with Arnold. Sanford's there also. Stevens again, who's had a couple of early possession, gets his ball to boot. Foot race here, Casserly, the nuggety little 3-foot rover, up against the nuggety 3.5-foot rover in Noonan. It's there. McAdam, what magic can he give us? Not much when he's been bear-hugged by the dour Rooster defender. The Rovers are definitely getting shorter, aren't they, Ken?
There's not much height between those two. Lehman it is, in and under with the footy.
Arnold, from behind is Ray, very disciplined once again. From behind his ball. Stevens, another possession, back to the Ray, who's done a second effort. It's kicked high. Sanford's got the position to be able to spoil. He gets his hand to it and makes sure it hits the boundary line.
Now, one thing I would not like to be is Chris McDermott's Chewy.
Oh, Scarface, look at him.
That takes a hammering during a game. Lucas Herbert really still controlling the airways and knocking up plenty of touches. Daniel, who we saw last week, played a terrific game and doing pretty well today. Back to Scotty Lee now. Stevens just got a nice little shepherd from Arnold, and around the corner goes the kick. Clean bowled was Lewis, and Herbert handballs it out now. Threading his way through his young 17-year-old Josh Gum, who's making a bit of a name for himself out there in his first game. Palmer inside the line, or was he? No, said the umpire, he was out of bounds on the full. So Scotty Lee, the 200-game veteran, recruited in 85 after 70 games for Hawthorn reserves. One senior game, which he's proud of, by the way. And he has made a name for himself in South Australian footy. Big fly, big pack, loose ball. Crashing through, Robertson tries to flick it out. Casserly claimed him. Stacks on the Millers. Phillips comes in late. The umpire's got no choice but to bounce. Jay Viney, far end of the bench, missed last week's match with a cut hand, sitting in the coach's box. We've not seen him at all today, Mark. It's interesting, isn't it?
No, we just saw Coach Chris McDermott just look over to him, so I'm sure it won't be too long before you see him out there. At the moment, they need something. The Bulldogs have been doing all the attacking here in this third quarter.
And there it is again, Bradley Warner just applying the correct football learnings, playing in front.
Good use of the body there by Sutherland. In front of the member stand, he wants to get the ball moving quickly. He does that through Lehman. Lehman just pokes it out. Scotty Lee will mark this. His name was all over that, onto his left leg, which you don't see too often. Gives it out to the running Ray, who's been pretty attacking from that half-back line, centre-half back this afternoon. On to Cook. What can Cook do? He sets it up for Lewis. Lewis takes the mark. Great grab by Simon Lewis.
Terrific grab. He was outnumbered 4-1 there, but he read the ball brilliantly off the left-footed Cook. Cook had other options, but elected to go to the tall Lewis, who now has an opportunity to goal from 45 metres out, kicking into a breeze.
Stats unimpressive, only 2 kicks. 4 handballs. I think he's brought up his first goal for the afternoon. He has. So Simon Lure, the unlucky number 13, gets a good goal. One I think the Bulldogs family would be pretty happy with.
Well, he changed jumper numbers, Ken, didn't he? He was 25 last year and he had just a horrible run of injuries. He thought 13 might bring him a bit of luck.
Well, it was certainly an important kick. It's only the second goal kick to right a screen for the game. A crucial one too.
He liked it, didn't he? The big fellow, he's tough at it. Big Simon Lures. One for the Bulldogs. We're 7 minutes in. It's 37-26. An 11-point ball game. As Swatala out of the middle forces it wide. Sanford and Lures, the two big fellows, go at it. We asked you about that earlier in the day, Ken, and clearly Sanford was on top at that stage.
I think has been, although there's not been a lot in the contest, but Lures with that goal certainly
levels the ledger
to an equal. That's right.
One more and he might be ahead. So Sanford hasn't done the sort of running off work that we've come to see. Arnold over the top of it. Gerke claims him. Play on, said the umpire. Sticks Phillips off the ground. Just opens it up for Robertson, who can use his pace. Scotty Lee just closes on him. And the hot breath right down the back of the neck. Ray, what was that? Dispossessed. Oh, he's in trouble, Jason Ray. I'm not sure what he's got. He was limping, but he's holding his wrist. Maybe a desiccated finger. Oh, that does not look good. You know you're in trouble. She's out. Desiccated finger.
I think he's waiting for the trainer to put it back in. Finally, they've woken up that he's in a bit of pain, and one's got to him. So we're back with the game.
Well done by Casserly. Tidied up Noonan. He wasn't able to release the football out to any of his free-running teammates. So working his way back in.
Could be nerves. Might have hit the funny bone in the right elbow, I think. Just dead in the arm for a moment.
You might be right.
I think it is. I think it's just been tickled in the armpit. Somewhere there.
The old stretched,
one of those.
Humorous.
Yeah. Hey, I should coach. I just called Jay Vine to come on. He's coming on. And Chris Laddam's there with him. So a couple of changes will be made by North Adelaide side very shortly. McAdam. This guy's playing a little soccer. Sits to himself, puts his hand there. Come on up. Where's the free kick? Hole's touched.
All right, give us a rule on the umpiring today. You've been pretty vocal in recent months.
I'm allowed to make a comment.
Go on.
But you get offended once again, so I'm not going to say anything this afternoon.
I just throw out the bait for you every week.
No,
you take it every week. Noonan over the top of the ball. Daniels claims him. Now, what's the rule there? Now, what's happening here, fellas? Lehman, who's played pretty well, is having a rest. What's that about, Ken?
Well, I wouldn't be sure, David, obviously, but to me, he's got to get him back on the ground as quick as he possibly can in a running role. Just can be so destructive to the opposition when he's allowed to run free. The likes of Noonan and Viney now, who's preparing to come on, getting those handballs continually to him.
As we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary.
And you're right, the interchange was all about a broken boot. I think Troy Lehman's just got to go and replace his boots and he'll be back.
Thanks for that, Michael. Our cameraman right on the job, picking up what we couldn't. We hope you're enjoying that close aspect of the game at home. This ball goes out of play and coming off Brenton Phillips. So he's resting his guns just for a final quarter assault.
Well, it's one gun for another there. The captain versus a lot of experience in Phillips. Gee, this third quarter, though, it's a premiership quarter. They're kicking with a strong wind. To me, you've got to have all your guns firing now.
Well, the momentum in this match has swung, hasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Pretty clearly.
Midway through the second quarter, the Bulldogs have got on top. To me, wasted opportunities in the first quarter. 9 shots for only 19 points on the scoreboard. Could see the result go the opposite way than North Adelaide would like. Wasted opportunities in that first quarter. 11
minutes into the third quarter and 11 points in favour of the Bulldogs, and they're coming home, Mark, with the breeze.
Looks like Lehman has, I think he's broken a bootlace, is what it looks like. Maybe the boot's broken, but the laces maybe have given way somewhere. As we see Gerke coming through, gives it across to Viney for his first touch, over to Noonan. Noonan inside 50. Couldn't quite get it home. But a score is registered, another behind to North Adelaide.
The breeze really has, well, it's dropped to almost nothing now. Perhaps Michael Parsons could give us an update on that, but gee, hardly looks to be an advantage to any team.
Wakeland from full-back. Just a beautiful kick, and underneath this one, great mark taken by Malcolm Polner. Plays on to Gerke. Gerke on the left boot. Underneath this one, Sutherland at the true centre-half forward position. Cotter mans the mark, and the North Adelaide players fan out. The forward line's pretty open, but Scotty Lee, just using his experience, drops into the hole and just covers that loose part of the ground. Big pack up. Ray it was who got hands to ball on that occasion. Robertson claims the ball. It goes to ground. There's the Bulldog bench. Arnold wins that one. Scotty Lee thumps it further afield. Stevens releases Hulm. It's a high ball, 3-on-1 out in the contest. Lewis will need to be very good here, and he was, as we go down to Michael Parsons.
And I've got that wind and weather update for Ken Sheldon. The wind has definitely dropped off from the south, still blowing up high, but and is affecting the ball that gets right up in the air. But at ground level, it is becoming reasonably still and a good day for footy.
Comment there, Keefe.
Oh, don't start David Mackay. Sanford comes across the face again. He's got the runners out here. Looks like it's Laddams. No, it's Sutherland. No, it's not. It's Robertson, it was. Schwert, what can he do with it? He's just got to wait and hold and get some support around. Then he holds the two North players back. Great work there by Schwert. Cross the lead. Lee intelligently comes in board, finds Daniel. Daniel's got the running player up forward, and Lewis are by himself. He's got the running Cotter throws it onto his boot under extreme pressure from Sanford. Keeps it inside field. At the back of the pack there, 37 is Gum. The young Josh Gum, 17-year-old, first game for that young player. Stevens takes on Gerke. Comes inside himself. I think he may have kicked it. The umpire pats his chest, indicates it's not there. Another behind. The shiny head of Scotty Stevens. A good buck before he played today's game.
Getting a lot of the footy this quarter, Stevens, just not finishing.
3 points, hasn't he kicked? Is that? That's right, I've got him fair. 4.
2 this quarter.
And in other matches around town at Woodville Oval, the Eagles by 12 points over Glenelg. That game in the balance, and South and Norwood. It's Norwood by 4 points at Noarlunga Oval. South Adelaide taking it right up to the reigning premiers. Herbert shows his versatility and goes for a run. Isn't this fellow growing with confidence? The kick's a Burma, and it's an FAD. No, it's a free downfield.
No doubt about that.
It wasn't an FAD. It was against Peck, who was holding, said the umpire. Ken, you saw something?
I agreed with it. I thought Peck was definitely interfering when the ball was more than 5 metres away. The umpire was right on the spot.
That's a test, isn't it? It's the distance the ball's away. OK, we'll go with you on that. Mark Naley shakes his head, fair enough, too. There's 2 sides of the coin for those people at home. And McAdam, well, that was a clever kick. What was the intention? Miss McDermott shakes his head. Sorry about that. Ken?
Well, the intention, no doubt, for the safety of the boundary. Neutral situation now, where Centrals have got a little bit on top, I think, since midway through the second quarter, and just continue to soak up time as they kick against this breeze.
As we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary.
And, gentlemen, just to let you know that Troy Lehman has rectified his boot problem and is about to come back onto the ground as Scotty Lee, 200 game player, comes off for a bit of a rest.
Just holding something down there. Scotty just looks a little bit of discomfort. Changes have been made by both sides here. Quite numerous in this third quarter.
Just need to spark the game. Lehman now with a bit of a rest. Perhaps he's the man.
Well, the biggest possession win on the ground so far is Troy Lehman. He's back on. Daniel really is a solid defender. McAdam staying to find the football also. Having maybe a bit of run on the ball across that half-back line. It's kicked high. Swatala back. Decide not to jump, and Sutherland takes an easy, uncontested mark. So Sutherland, half-back flank, kicks it high. who's up there. It's all red, white and blue jumpers.
That was Brad Willis, and a penalty.
Oh, Hulm, how did he get on his own?
Well, he does that pretty well, doesn't he? Uses the ball pretty intelligently, and this time to Hicks. Now, he kicked from a similar position in the first quarter, and the ball didn't make the distance. So this time he elects to just feed it off to Hulm, who was running further afield.
Oh, that's a disgraceful play by the North Adelaide midfielders. They had 5 minutes to pick him up, and he was left unattended right in the centre corridor.
So Danny Hulm, 7 kicks and 4 handballs, 11 possessions. Not as prolific as he has been in many weeks, and last year, as a new recruit to the club from Tasmania, he won the best and fairest and was outstanding. Hasn't troubled the scorers yet, but he'll kick for goal from 30 metres out, almost directly in front. The breeze from right to left. He'll take the right post. It's drifting with the breeze. Well, he didn't read that terribly well, but Herbert did, and took a beauty deep in defence. Noonan off, so that quality sitting on the bench at the moment for both clubs.
He's holding his hamstring as well, so he has too. He's done his hamstring as Tim Noonan. And we see he'll go down the race and into the change rooms. So trouble times here for the Roosters. A couple of their star players having a bit of a rest in this third quarter.
The door's open now for the Bulldogs, surely the door's open.
It is now. High ball. Conway's up there. Herbert's there also. Again, Herbert takes another mark. Had a good afternoon as Herbert.
Making one of his rare mistakes there. Gee, with the key playmaker in Tim Noonan off the ground with perhaps a hamstring injury, the door really is open here for the Bulldogs.
Conway on Herbert. Coming in late there. Looked like it was McAdam. Hicks, ooh, nearly taken high it was. The umpire plays the advantage. Kicked up strong players holding each other. The umpires missed that one. Player was pushed in the back. They missed that one as well. The whistles are gone. Great smother. And Stacks on the middle. Look at him sit on top, Sweeney. You're not getting up used to. I'm sitting on top of you.
Look at this on replay. You can see here the North Adelaide player comes back, just takes too much time, and the second effort there by the Bulldogs is rewarded by creating a neutral situation.
Arnold thumps it down. Gurkey claimed by Stevens. The umpire said no prior opportunity. Stevens can't believe it.
It's just about red hot holding the ball there.
It is. He's got the ball, holding it to his chest.
Not a lot of effort
play
being
didn't have
made.
hold of it either, and he just let it. He just rode his bump or the tackle to the ground. It shouldn't have. Had no intention of handballing it out.
Going to give you blokes a whistle next week. And Sutherland streams away half forward, drills it deep into the pocket. The kick was a beauty. Oh, missing it comprehensively was Edwards. That was just tailor-made for him. Now Daniel relieves the pressure, and Ken Shelton puts 3 fingers up. Tell us about it.
The third mark that Edwards has missed. Money for old rope. He should be just eating those.
Money for old rope.
And the chip over the top underneath this one, Brenton Daniel. 30 games up for him, so he's starting to grow in experience, this fellow. The ability is clear, and we've already mentioned last week. Now, the stats don't tell you the true story of his game. He has harassed, smothered, tackled. I think the only thing we haven't seen him do is bite. He's just a bit taller and a bit faster than Scotty Lee, but the same tough type of player at it. Wintle applies the tackle there on Casserly. Now, if you're wondering at home whether it's cold here at Prospect Oval, I think that'll give you a fair idea. Michael Parsons has just disappeared to put his thermal underwear on, and that's 19 metres of thermal cotton, I can tell you, for the big fellow. As Schwerty goes down on the ball.
You're talking.
I'm talking length, not girth. You're a very sad lot. Central by 11 points, Prospect Oval, live on the ABC. We hope you're enjoying the local footy with no Crows game this afternoon and the Power playing tomorrow. What a big weekend it's been for the SANFL. 11,500 people at Adelaide Oval last night, and you'd suspect a good crowd of about 3,500 or 4,000 people here this afternoon.
It's a very disciplined performance by the Central District Bulldogs. Since midway through the second quarter, they've clearly got on top, and they're just soaking up time here as North Adelaide kicked the left of screen with the advantage of a 2 or 3 goal breeze.
So with 30 seconds, nearly a minute into time on. Some great work done through the middle of the ground here. I think someone's put the laughing gas up through the back of the Prospect grandstand. As Penn's put the paper, we see Arnold pushes it out wide to Stevens. We see Lures quite happily just be able to put the ball out over the line. We see the Bulldogs bench still working overtime. Matthew Slade, only in his second game of footy. Herbert pushes the player out. Umpires let it go. Squire, quick hands, runs his own player. Gerke misses it. Gain through the middle of the ground. Chance here for Lehman. Puts it high. Money for old Rope up there, and Edwards couldn't take the mark again. Comes out to Daniel, who really has been a great defender this afternoon, along with Jason Reid at centre half back.
He really has worked tirelessly, has Daniel. He's an improving footballer. We've seen him progress over the last few years, and now plays an integral part in the defence of the Central District Bulldog side.
Changes made again. Saw Slade come on. Hicks comes off. Ray again.
And that's good play by Ray. Again, just using the safety of the boundary line. The Bulldogs certainly have got on top in that area. And with the absence of Tim Noonan, the prolific ball-winning midfielder of North Adelaide, through a hamstring injury, possibly off the field, it's just good common sense to soak up time.
Hicks has a telecom call with the coach. And that is a very short conversation with the coach. Scott Lee and Damien Hicks sit on the interchange bench. We talk about some of the quality sitting on the bench at the moment. Tim Noonan is down in the North Adelaide change rooms receiving treatment for a hamstring injury. As Jason Ray releases McAdam, who has time for a couple of bounces just inside the line. A long, hopeful handball to Cook is out of play. It's not a bad ploy, that, Ken.
Yeah, nothing hopeful about that. He's been terrific, McAdam, just using the safety of that boundary line on 3 or 4 occasions in this third quarter. Tremendous football intelligence.
So as the ball comes back into play, it's Arnold opposed to Herbert. Arnold this time takes front position. Lehman on the left boot, bends it back around into space. Running onto it is Edwards. He's claimed by Heath Hopwood.
Terrific tackle.
Hopwood's been pretty good, Ken, today, to be fair.
Yes, without being spectacular, he's been efficient, effective.
Well, you look at the full-back and see what the full forward's done. Then you perhaps measure their game. Although Edwards has missed 3 setters, there's a headlock, a sleeper hold almost, applied by Graham Kellett.
Gee, this is where it's almost frustrating now for North Adelaide. They'll trail by 11 points. They're kicking with a breeze. In the third quarter, they really do need a goal, having wasted opportunities in the first quarter.
Ball's down, Arnold. Starting to get on top now. Working very, very hard. I think most of that midfield really has accelerated, increased their work ethic in this third quarter.
Yeah, they've turned it around.
Yep, they have. And one player in particular has been McAdam, and also Cotter on the wing. A couple of players that come to my mind very quickly. Well, Jay Viney. Chance here for his first kick for the afternoon. Will kick right on the 50-metre line. He does that, puts it high, trying to allow the breeze to bring it back. It has, but back a little bit too far, and brings up another behind.
Jay Viney, Mark, a cut hand last week, missed the match. And he doesn't seem to have it strapped or inconvenienced by it. So, Wakeland, 26-year-old, pushes the ball to the far side. Clearly the tactics are working. Herbert up over the pack, almost completed a screamer. Swatala couldn't get the kick away. Viney forces it forward. Well done, Willis. Now Squire, they've stolen the ball from each other. Back to Herbert, who brings it back further inboard. Robertson on the left boot, 50 metres out. They need a goal, the Roosters. I think they've got it. It's Laddams. it looked like Robinson. It was Laddams, in fact, coming onto the oval. And Laddams just delivers a beauty.
That's what he was brought on for. Coming off interchange number 3, and you can see many attempts to get the ball out. The Roosters, eventually it come to Laddams as we wait and wait and wait. But then the kid was good enough to make the most of that opportunity. A great left foot snap from 48 metres.
Young Christopher Laddams, another 70-year-old for the Roosters out there this afternoon, along with young Christopher Robinson. Chance here, Danny Hulm. Can they respond through Cook's been fairly quiet. A lucky kick ends up at centre half forward. This is Simon Lewis. As we've mentioned before, spent a little bit of time in the reserves this year. His first game back. Just starting to hold the ball. He gets the ball off to young Adam Swatala. So Swatala, opportunity directly in front. Will kick from around about 45 metres. Just taking his time is Adam Swatala. Spins the ball as he walks in. Goes out to the right. Puts the ball in his way. He's kicked out to the right. The Breeze has brought it back. That's his first goal, the second goal for the afternoon. And a good response, a good return for the Bulldogs.
Advantage of the centre bounce clearance there. The Bulldogs, they were angry at having let North Adelaide kick that goal. So they answered with first possession out of the middle. Cook effectively got the ball to Lewis, who's had a pretty good influence in this third quarter.
Statistically, 116 to 103. Centrals are up in the kicks and marks, but down in the handball department. Frees are pretty even. And the hit-outs, to be fair, even though it looks like Herbert has dominated, Arnold has fought back since half-time to almost square the ledger. We're 10 points adrift. The Bulldogs have the lead, kicking into the breeze and coming home with what breeze there is. We believe it to be a 2 or 3 goal breeze. Noonan hits the bunker. So at three-quarter time, Ken, it's a 10-point lead to Central District, who would be favoured to come home with the breeze and take the match.
Certainly in the box seat with Noonan and Phillips both on the bench, seemingly carrying injuries. Lehman cut out of the game in that quarter. He was probably the best player on the ground in the first half. And the Bulldogs, they just started to generate through the midfield more possession and effective use of the footy. It was a great quarter of football by the Bulldogs, a very disciplined quarter of football where they used the safety of the boundary to soak up time to prevent the North Adelaide side using any advantage, taking any advantage of the strong breeze. It was just a terrific quarter of football and does really put them in the box seat.
So three-quarter time scores here at Prospect Oval. See North Adelaide, 4 goals, 10-34. They trail Centrals. They're 6 goals, 8-44. And you're watching it live and exclusive to ABC Sport.
Well, a game in the balance. It's a 10-point ball game with North Adelaide kicking against the breeze. Your commentator of the final quarter, Mark Nayley.
McAdam. He is the Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly of SANFL football. Tremendous footwork. It's like first blood to the Bulldogs. They're excited. They're jumping for joy. McAdam is ecstatic in the middle of the ground. Urging on his charges out there. Showing plenty of experience. He is excited. As I said, the Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly of SANFL football. It's just beautiful to watch.
There it is over the top. Terrific goal.
Great start by the Bulldogs. They just bustle that ball forward. But you're right, the big fella, number 5, Big Arnold, in the middle of the ground. He's the one getting his hand to the ball. It was Chambers' goal. Ooh, this is McAdam again. He really has increased his work in this second half. In there also is Schwert, that 109 game player. Look at McAdam. Normally a very introverted person, but he's starting to use his voice a little bit. Exciting a few players out there. They'd love to see this bloke in full flight.
20 possessions. He's still capable of winning another McGarry, by the way he plays. Hulm off the ground. Oh, loose. He has just been terrific. Releases Cook on the left foot. That's a training drill. Oh, well done, Cookie. We talked about him last week not playing on and running through lines. Well, he's done that beautifully today, and I think that one is the most important kick of his afternoon.
It's a tremendous goal, but what great play by Lewis. You can see Hulm just forced the ball forward, but you just might be able to pick it up. Lewis, he was in front. He gave his team the edge by playing in front and was able to shovel that handball off to the running Cook. Play in front. What an advantage.
Remember the ball is baseball caps. Got those two fingers. It's great to see. The Bulldogs supporters are happy. 2 minutes into the second quarter. First two goals. The boys in the red, white and blue jumpers. Again, Cook, beautifully balanced, takes hold of the football, centres it. Who's up there to take the big grab? In front was a big fella and Lures. Conway, that is. Geez, they are working hard now. It's Gerke. Slows down proceedings, sits over the top of the ball.
Total contrast to their first quarter start. Initiating everything now, the Bulldogs. Bit of confidence.
Lucas Herbert needs support. It's high, Schwert. What can he do here with Kellett? There's too many players out here now. That's Arnold across to McAdam. Lays it off beautifully out wide. Play there as Slade is put down. Both players haven't moved. It's a quick kick around the body by Willis. I think he's kicked his first goal. He has for the afternoon.
Make that his career, Mark, for what it's worth. Another player who reaches a milestone in his career. First one ever, another memorable one.
The handball from McAdam just not quite weighted right, and there you've seen it all on screen, both players colliding. But Willis here picks it up, and this is a terrific goal. And what an opening start to this last quarter by the Bulldogs.
Slade just cleaned up and is coming off the field. Hicks will come back on for the Bulldogs. As we go back in the middle, it's a procession. Well, he's not well. You take a hit like that.
Doesn't want to come off.
Well, it's taken him a long time to get here. He's saying, hey, unless there's blood, I don't want to be going off. Fair enough, too. It's tough to make league footy these days, and even tougher when they just drag you off. Chambers, 50 out. Oh, the unprotected goal square. Oh, well done. There's some emotion out there. Chambers likes it. 2 goals in 4 minutes for him in the opening part of this final term. He has set the Bulldogs alight.
That's a brilliant goal. And again, the advantage of a centre bounce clearance. The Bulldogs really have got on top in that area since quarter time, midway through the second quarter perhaps. You might give the credit to North Adelaide. But the Bulldogs really have been terrific.
Chrissy Robertson, there's nothing of him. Didn't he clean up Matty Slade?
Back in the middle of the ground, the ball's been bounced. 68 plays 34. What can the Roosters do? They need something. Daniel should have given the handball. Ray was there on his left leg. Daniel around his body. He's found Lewis. Now this bloke's playing a little bit of confidence. A couple of small things he's done this last quarter. Really has given it to him. Connor couldn't take the mark. With him also there is Willis, and the ball's out over the boundary line.
Herbert off for North Adelaide. Now I reckon Scotty Sutherland was a bit stiff in that last contest. He was taken out by the umpire.
Well, fellas, I spoke just after half-time saying North Adelaide in the first half had 8 centre square breaks and Central's 0. In the second half so far, we've had Central Districts with 8 centre square breaks to North Adelaide now 0. So the ledger is square.
It's been a big change around, so much so that Lucas Herbert's now benched.
I think he's having a rest, isn't he?
Oh, how could you? He's
been
one of their best players, if not their best.
He's sitting on the bench, and I think the reasons that Mark just identified is why. But to me, he's got to be back on the ground if the Roosters are going to win it.
Well, I don't see that they've got the spark there to win it from here, Ken, to be honest. I think the Bulldogs' tails are wagging, excuse the pun, but they really have got their act together in this final quarter. Laddams just lost his footing, or was he tripped? Play on, said the umpire. Squire hurries one away, squeezes it out in the direction of Robertson as we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary.
And Matthew Slade, who came off after that big bump with Chris Robinson, is okay. He'd return to the game if required. Lucas Herbert, I think you'll find, fellas, got a corky. He didn't actually compete in the last centre bounce, so I think he's come off to check that out, and he'll probably see a bit more action as well.
And I think Chris McDermott's put a Form 4 under Michael Parsons' nose. He needs a ruckman. Don't sign it, big fella. Stevens on the left. Where's he going with that one? To the lead of Conway, but well, it was so difficult, wasn't it? Peck wide. Now just inside the line, this is Lehman, whose first quarter was outstanding, but has really struggled since half-time.
His first half was outstanding. He had to come off to change a boot and blew a boot, and has struggled. He's struggled since, but he would still be, I think, dominating, perhaps the leading possession winner on the ground at this stage. Daniels has been terrific for the Bulldogs, as has this kid Swatala.
Swatala, another goal to Swatala. That's his third for the afternoon. The young fella, 20-year-old, number 43, and fellas, he is a future AFL player.
And again, Lewis featuring, really has got on top in that duel, playing centre-half forward in his first game back. Has really come to the forefront when his coach Peter Jonas needed him most.
Takes a lot of courage to keep running so hard in the final term. Your body's
you love it in these
screaming
situations.
at you. But there's different sorts of courage, isn't it? And running hard in the final quarter is still a great bit of courage. What are the 10 points at three-quarter time? We're out to 40 points now. A blowout for the Bulldogs. And they are panting all the way home. Arnold wins that one down. Daniel hurried kick off the boot. Couldn't get much in the way of a clearance. Stevens over the top of it. Now forcing it out to further was Polner. Back it goes to Lehman, a high bomb, and Wakeland from behind backed himself in, but Jason Ray was there just to mop up nicely. Got through three and got away the kick, but it's 3-on-1. Lures, big fellow, made a good contest of it, forced the issue. Sutherland feeds it back to Polner. Through traffic, Lehman, well, he just ran into a brick wall. Cook got him right on the button. Hulm forward to Stevens, swings back on the left boot, comes inside, bends it forward. Swatala underneath this one. He'll need to go hard. And what do you reckon, Ken?
Oh, just what a shocking kick from Stevens. I'm sure he'd love to have that one 10 times over, and he'd be able to put it to Swatala. But
talk about shocking kick. Sanford's turnaround right leg, had the space, had the players, and kicked straight to Simon Lures. Lures quickly, trying to find Hicks behind. He couldn't quite take it. With there is Ebel. What can he do with it? Gives it across to Laddams, back to Ebel, back to Laddams. And neither player really wants to take the football. Quite happy to see the ball out over the line.
Ebel, Ken, hasn't been North Adelaide's worst player, that's for sure. Battling hard against the odds.
Acquitted himself well in defence.
Chance, Lehman trying hard. Hasn't had enough support. Ball's come across, and Ray.
With the absence of Noonan, players like Squires have really got to lift.
Ray's been in everything this afternoon. He's had 9 kicks. He's had 14 possessions. His shorts aren't even dirty yet.
I think the most memorable aspect of his game was that running goal in the second quarter. He kicked it from 60 on the run. This was very, very powerful. Gum, who's made an impressive debut today. Daniel caught, feeds it off. Willis couldn't get through. Arnold over the top, tries to flick it forward. 199 game man Schwert goes hard at it. Jason Ray crashes through. Oh, Robertson was very good. He went hard at the ball. And finally the umpire says, fellas, we'll just sort this out. Comment on the jumpers, Mark, if you would. You like the big V, the red jumper with the white V?
Yes, takes me back.
Swampy Patterson.
Does take me back. I was a mad North Adelaide supporter back in the early 70s. I love watching the big V every Saturday afternoon on the North Mound. Lures. Top of the square. The big V's back there. Just puts his hand on the ball, that player there, and Peck. Brings up another behind, but he's only played 11 minutes in this final quarter. And the Bulldogs, without their captain, there on screen, taking no further part in the afternoon's proceedings, but they really don't need him at this stage.
High one in, pack up, no mark. Lures really has played an integral part in this second half as Cook bends it around the corner. Oh, the Central District fans like it too. Cook likes it. He gets his second. What a third it is, in fact. Thanks for that, Mark. And it's 12 goals 9 to 4 goals 10. A whitewash at Prospect Oval.
Sums it up. Arnold has really got on top in the big man department. Lures really got on top at centre-half forward. He's the avenue for them, and smaller players such as Cook and Swatala are just lapping it up, making the most of it and kicking some fine goals.
Six majors in this last quarter. We've only played 12 minutes. Great opening. Still another 20 minutes of football to go. Great courage again. They are on fire. They're playing with plenty of confidence. Comes to Swatala. He'll back himself. He does that. He goes around, sets it high. There's one-on-one duels coming across the pack there. It's Polner.
Reserves best and fairest last year, this fellow, Mark.
Good player, but today really has found it very difficult since the first quarter. Free downfield. The umpire saw that. Jackson Ray just putting maybe not an aggressive body on Jeffries, but just enough to put him off balance and put him down. So the free down the field. Gergie, who's been very, very quiet also since that first quarter. McAdam. Schwert back to Cotter. He's got Ray there by himself, an absolute paddock. He can sit down and have Devonshire tea. He wanted to the middle of the ground. He needs to get a move on now. He does. Gets a handball through to Lewis. Lewis got a player out wide. He goes that way to Hulm. Hulm's now in trouble. He goes further afield to Atala again. Needs to keep the ball when he decides to run out. It's a bit too much pressure there.
And in other matches around town, it's the Eagles by 43 points over Glenelg. I might get your money again, Mark. And South by 6 points. I think you've got me cold there. Lures thumps it down. Stevens. Cook. Well, he straightens from 60, delivers it long with the breeze at his back. Good contest. Hicks and Stephen Peck. We just wonder where North Adelaide are going from here, because they opened so beautifully in the first quarter, looked like winners on every line, and then really have just collapsed since quarter time.
Yes, I mean, they've got to overcome when they lose two players like Tim Noonan, especially midway through that third quarter, and also Brenton Phillips. It does take a fair bit out of a side with two players of their quality and ability.
And they complement each other so well. Noonan, the ball getter, and Phillips, the finisher, able to deliver it so effectively.
Wayne Rosenboom, their big ruckman, who's out with, a knee injury. Won't see him till next year. They really are missing him as well.
And Parker as well.
The Bulldogs also have a long injury list, and they're playing with plenty of passion as it sits at the moment.
Stevens had the player in Chambers, tried to find him. It's a little bit too far over his head. Just a little bit of pressure taken off the Bulldogs this afternoon. This just might be enough for them. As I said before the start again, give them a charge in the second half of the season to get back into the final five. The ball's high. Swatala will take it.
He's being impressive. 15, 20 possessions lining up for his fourth. It's good performance.
We just consider the age of Swatala, only 20 years of age. Virtually second year of football, league football, at SNFL level. I'm sure there's a few talent scouts around the country will be watching this player's progress this season.
A couple here today, by the way.
Wasn't a good kick by Swatala. But behind is brought up, 13.5-minute mark, and really 82 plays 34. You could virtually, fellas, just put the kettle on and sit down and have a nice quiet cup of tea.
This is good news. Matty Slade is preparing to come back on after that sickening clash with Chris Robertson. Oh, Hulm not happy. Oh, what do you reckon? 25-metre penalty. Just sheer frustrations, Damien Squire. And the umpire says, fellas, just stay out of this. This is my caper. Let's have another look, Ken. What do you reckon?
I think the free kick was given first to the player, wasn't it, Ken?
I think it was given. I think it was given to Hulm.
Yep, for a high tackle.
But I think he was pushed as he launched towards Squire. bit hard to pick up on replay.
Well, he got the free kick. He was interfered with too high in the air, so the umpire. Hulm went up to remonstrate with Squire, and Squire was just giving him none of it. Just pushed him straight in the chest, decked him, a gimme goal, and Hulm puts it through.
Not as good as recent performances by Hulm, but again, a steady performance. Had to contend with Phillips early in the game. A pretty even duel, perhaps honours going to Phillips before he was injured. And now I think is on Squire in the midfield. And has probably had the better of Squire. Squire, to me, needs to do a little more for his team, particularly with the absence of Noonan.
17-minute mark. This game really is blowing out. Arnold again gets his hand on the ball. Jeffrey comes out with it. Back to Swirt. Had a quiet afternoon, been very busy around the packs. This player here, I would have to say, would be in the top 2 players on the field this afternoon. Down to Lewis. At the bottom of that pack looks like Chambers. Pounced upon by 2 Roosters.
He's had a good performance, Daniel, but I think probably the top 2 might be.
Wouldn't take
much of a
Daniel out of there. Daniel and Ray really have been great. I mean, talk about second halves, you talk about McAdam and you will talk about Arnold. But for the whole game, I've seen Ray and also Daniel, centre half-back and half-back flank, have been really exciting. Here he is again, Daniel. Very cool, very calculated, very disciplined player is Daniel. Picked up by Slade, finds Casserly. So Casserly only the 9 possessions this afternoon. Chips it further forward and finds Vitala. You see Hulm there. See Hulm just checking out the back. A few little breathing difficulties.
Good to see here Swatala. He's backed himself.
It's a high ball. Should go out of bounds. It's not. It's kept in. So the blokes in the red, white and jump would like to see it out. That's Evil, throws onto his left boot. Eventually it finds the boundary line with Laddams. And the short back inside, just seen it over the boundary line.
Danny Hulm having difficulty breathing.
Maybe that clash between the 2 players. And Squire and Hulm before.
Cook, left foot, round the corner. He likes that. That's 4, isn't it? Just terrific. When he's on song, he's very sweet, Tim Cook. As he is today, his finishing is just terrific.
3 last quarter goals, and how neat was that one? Beautiful to watch. Look at this. One grab of the footy, clean possession, out of the pack. Thank you very much.
Now, if we look at the stats inside 50 this quarter, it's 14-0 this term. We go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary.
Just to let you know, Daniel Hulm has some bruised ribs, according to the club doctor, so nothing too serious.
It's a euphemism for a break, I think, generally, fellas, isn't it? Whenever something's broken, the doctor always tells you it's bruised. Let's hope it is just a bruising. Sutherland towards the boundary line with Chambers in pursuit. And Chris McDermott would be disgusted with this final quarter. He's making notes already. He's going to go in fuming. You can see it in his face.
I asked Chris McDermott, is he officially retired from league football as a player? So no announcement has been made, but he's told me he's no longer going to pull the boots on. So it's exclusive to the ABC is that Chris McDermott has retired from SANFL football.
200-gamer Scotty Lee comes back on Cook, who has been brilliant with 4 goals.
Yeah, good coaching by Peter Jones. He saw one of his younger star power players, and Stewie Dew kicked 6 goals last week. He's gone up. Just protecting young Cook, who's got 4 on the ball already. Get him off, put him in cotton wool, and we'll see you again next week.
Edwards around the corner. Laddams, a hurried toe poke almost. Robertson, who is an exciting player in much the same way that Swatala is. Very similar players. Hopwood, or Willis. Schwert. Daniel, who I agree has played pretty well. And now Cotter. It's almost a training drill, isn't it, at the moment? Hicks now, right half forward, squares it up, brings it back inboards. Schwert will need to go hard at this. Gerke stood his ground. Plays it on. Viney, switch of play. Sutherland was the target. Stevens got there late, and Sutherland completes the mark. Feeds it off to Jeffries, who is the club's leading goal kicker this year, but I don't think he's got one today, has he? No, he's got one. He's got one. So he's only got the one. And that ball's out of play.
It's over 61 points now. Really is a blowout in this final quarter. Ball has been thrown around. Again, they come up with the football. That's Willis. Umpire Ron Bettridge comes in to ball it up. Players still keen to get hold of the football, especially the ones in the red and white blue jumpers. They realise the chance here, a little bit of percentage. Is 10 goals enough? They want more. Ray's got the runners inside. He follows it up again as Ray. Good second effort. Wants to use the player running in board. That player there is Lewis. He's got Chambers there as well. Comes up, back to Ray. Goes back to Chambers. Switala. Switala's got Lewis. Just pops it up. Taken again by Chambers. Chambers puts it up high. I think he's kicked his goal for the afternoon. He has. That's his third in this quarter also, along with Cook. So Chambers, great goal. That goes out to 67-point margin now. You can just see here, Switala just held on to it long enough. Saw Lewis in a centre-half forward. Put it up in the air. Good work by the defence, but again, the Bulldogs, too many numbers around the football. Ends up with Chambers. As I said, kicked 2 already this last quarter. That's his third. Arms in the air. Gives himself a clap. Centrals go further ahead.
4-10 to 15 goals 11. Remember, it was a 10-point ball game at three-quarter time. And what a blowout it is. Mola thumps it down. Daniel over the top of it, just gets a hurried kick of sorts forward. Now Gerke steadies, lifts the eyes and delivers it wide. Coming out on the lead was Edwards. Now Jeffries, back inboard Warner. Over the top is Josh Gum. And to the point of the square he goes. Nobody can complete the mark, so Schwert just grabs it towards the line and resets the defence. This is terribly disappointing, Ken, isn't it, for North Adelaide to be within 10 points, a chance of winning, and to go down in a final quarter like this.
Well, they had to really stand up and be counted. They were out kicking against the breeze in this last quarter. They were, as you said, only 10 points down after struggling from midway through the second quarter, but they had it all to play for, and they've really just laid down.
Loose ball, Warner. Forward. 38 is Windle. 45 is Heath Hopwood. Only his 9th game, Ken. He's impressed me as a player who just goes hard at it all day.
It's been very good, as has Warner, number 40. I thought just played a pretty reasonable game for the Roosters.
Jeffries out. Warner around the corner again. Underneath this one, Schwert. And look at this. Jason Ray all by himself. Has time for a bounce, even time for a fumble. He can go back and recover this. No, he can't. Because Squire, in fact Edwards, steadies, brings it back with the breeze. It's coming around, but not quite far enough. And Mark Edwards gets a point.
The left-handed bouncing of Stephen Ray. The right-handed, he actually flicked that one out, but you'll need to practice that because, to my recollection, it's the second one he's duffed today.
Stephen Schwert, left leg, brings it back. It's high. Muller's there, but also Laddams.
Now, what's that, your Jimmy Cagney voice?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It's high, great grab. Taken by Kellett.
He was particularly good, Ken, wasn't he, the first half?
His disposal has been almost perfect. And again, he feeds it off to a player,
Jeffries,
as he thought, in a better position.
They need a goal. They've only kicked 4 for the afternoon. Adams has had one, so has Lehman. Jeffries already kicked one, along with Bradley Warner. So Jeffries, stiff breeze into his face at the moment, needs to control his kick. He punches it very close to the man on the mark. He's kept control. I think he has. He has. The little man in the baseball cap puts his 2 fingers up. Bring up another goal.
Well, they need now to finish off to North Adelaide. It's been an insipid performance since about midway through the second quarter, particularly in this last quarter where the Bulldogs have just blitzed them at the goal face. And they need to finish off now to redeem some confidence and some spirit, some pride. Scoreboard there.
60 points. A 10-point ball game at 3/4 time. It's now 10 goals adrift. Disgraceful showing by the Roosters, but Peter Jonas take nothing away from the Bulldogs. They have been extraordinary. They've wrestled control of this match and gone away winners. Wakeland, who has been very solid in defence today, feeds it out to Jason Ray, who really has controlled the centre half-back position. Now 2 bounces, now 3. Ken, what do you reckon? On the left. Sorry.
Getting his practice in.
Well, his kicking wasn't so flash, was it? Polner.
Pretty casual.
Wide. Josh Gum, the 17-year-old. How do you like his game?
Been excellent on debut. Been very impressed.
Laddams just spoils that. Wakeland steals it away, chips it short. Scotty Lee, the 200-game man. What a disappointment for him. He goes away in his 200th game having time on the bench, but I think a win will satisfy him, as it turns out. Squire releases Viney, forces it wide. Underneath this one, oh, well done, Laddams, who takes off, gives it to Jeffries, squares it up. Underneath this one's Gurkey. Handball's just inboard. He has support. Laddams over the top. It's a high handball, and now Wintle goes for goal, keeps it into the breeze, but it's drifting to the left and through for a point.
The intensity really has dropped off the game now. The Bulldogs convincing after half-time. Great third quarter they played into the wind, soaking up time, very intelligent, use of the ball and the boundary line.
And I like the way Michael Wakeland mark has eased back over the last couple of weeks.
Very easily. As Michael Wakeland come back into the side the last couple of weeks. We see Chambers put the ball up. Fortunately, Sanford was there. Gurkey might get run down. He wasn't. Got his kick in. McAdam, Wakeland from behind again. Good work. Number 40 running through there is Warner. Goes for goals. Goes across the face. And who's there? Stephen Schwert.
Schwert flicks it up. Further afield is Bradley Willis, the 20-year-old in his 4th game. Shows enough to suggest that he'll be a pretty handy player in coming years.
A bit of go about him. Kicked an excellent goal before.
Now we're 29 minutes in, 29 and a half minutes, and this is a training drill. Schwert from Ray, just playing possession football, Central District. Forward it goes to Lures. Sanford spoils. It comes down to Lehman, around the corner on the left foot, and mercifully the siren sounded. It's a 59-point win to Central District after being down by 18 points at quarter time. They were up by 3 at half time, 10 points at 3/4 time. The final score is 15-11 and North 5 goals to North Adelaide got 1 goal 2 in the final term, and Central District dominated all aspects of the final quarter. Ken, best players, pretty easy to pick out for Central District.
Yes, it was really a team performance since about midway through the second quarter. Swatala was good. Cook, McAdam, Daniel, Arnold really lifted his rating and gave all these players first use of the football. I thought Kellett and Swert were okay. But to mine, the best player on the ground is Lehman. I think he was there early and he was thereabouts all day. Very difficult to pick the 3 votes. I thought Swatala was thereabouts all day and finished with 3 or 4 excellent goals. McAdam, Daniel Chambers, and I thought Just Gum and Warner played very good games.
We'll come back and let you finish that as we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary.
And with me, Danny Hulm, who had come off and had a bit of a rest there in the last quarter. It was good to watch.
Yeah, sensational. I think the boys really want to put on a fine effort for Scotty Lee's 200th. See they're carrying him off now. Sensational. I think, you know, we all love the bloke, and he's just a terrific clubman.
Yeah, and after a bit of a slow start to the game, North had the ball there in the first quarter. You restricted the scoring, then run all over them.
Yeah, I don't think we were too unhappy with the first quarter. I mean, we only kicked 1 point, but it was sort of blowing a gale at that stage. And I think we knew that, you know, when we went in half-time, 3 points up, that we were really going to give it a shake today.
And Scotty Lee himself, they're carrying him off the ground now. The crowd's giving him a cheer. He has been a great player for the Central District.
Yeah, I think he came off and had a bit of a slight groin, but I think he was almost begging them to send him back on. So, yeah, just sensational for him.
I'll let you go, Daniel. Go and have a beer with Scotty. Okay, thanks very much, David.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Mike. The final scoreboard here at Prospect Oval shows the Roosters failing by 59 points. The final scoreboard is North Adelaide 5 goals 12. They kicked 1 goal 2 in the final quarter when they really needed to get amongst the goals. But look at Central District. They kicked 9 goals 3 in the final term to completely overrun the Roosters, and the final margin 59 points. Goal scorers, Cook got 4. Wasn't he dominant in the final term? Swatala with 3, Chambers with 3, and 3 of those goals in the final quarter when it was also very necessary. Cassidy and Willis got 1. Jeffrey's got a couple for North Adelaide. Laddams, Warner and Lehman 1 for North Adelaide.